In the heart of a bustling city, where dreams sparkled like the neon lights of skyscrapers, a young woman named Cynthia stepped off a dusty bus, her eyes wide with ambition. She was no ordinary girl from a humble village. Her beauty was a crown she wore with pride, a beacon that drew the gaze of wealthy men like moths to a flame. Known as the Queen of the City, Cynthia believed her allure was her golden ticket to a life of luxury. But little did she know, the same beauty that opened doors would lead her into a trap of unimaginable darkness. Cynthia's journey began in a small, sun-scorched village where life was simple but dreams were scarce. Her father, a pastor with a voice that carried hope, prayed over her as she prepared to leave for the city. His words were a shield, asking divine protection for his daughter in a world he barely understood. Her mother, with calloused hands from years of selling roasted peanuts, pressed a small sack of them into Cynthia's hands along with 2 bottles of water. "Be careful, my child," she whispered, her eyes heavy with unspoken fears. Cynthia, however, was fearless. Her beauty, she believed, was her armor and her weapon, destined to carve a path to wealth and status. As the bus rumbled toward the city, Cynthia's heart raced with anticipation. Through the window, she glimpsed towering buildings, sleek cars, and women adorned with wigs that cost more than her village's church. This was the life she craved, a life of glamour, far removed from the drudgery of selling water or cleaning houses. She had heard tales of village girls who struck gold in the city, marrying billionaires and building mansions for their families within months. That was the destiny Cynthia envisioned. Upon arriving, Cynthia checked into a modest hotel near the bus station. It wasn't luxurious, but it was a start. After a cold shower that washed away the dust of her journey, she stood before a cracked mirror, her reflection radiating confidence. "Get ready, city men," she whispered with a smile. "Queen Cynthia has arrived." The next morning she slipped into her tightest dress, the one that had turned heads back home, and applied bright red lipstick and a spritz of cheap perfume. With purpose in her stride, she marched to the office of the hotel manager, a man named Emma. He was a seasoned observer of the city's undercurrents, accustomed to all sorts of dreamers. But when Cynthia entered, his eyes widened. Her beauty was raw, unpolished, the kind that wealthy men sought like rare gems. "Good morning, sir," Cynthia said, her voice honeyed yet bold. She sat, crossing her legs with deliberate grace. "I need your help. I want to meet a billionaire boyfriend. I'm ready to do whatever it takes, and I'll give you 20% of everything I get." Emma blinked, startled by her audacity. "Are you sure? Do you know what you're asking for?" "I'm very sure," Cynthia replied, her eyes unwavering. "I want to change my life and help my parents. I'm ready." Emma leaned back, studying her. "How old are you?" 20, she said. "I'm still a virgin." Emma's jaw tightened. A virgin at 20 in the city was a rarity, a commodity that could fetch a high price among the elite. "Your parents know you're here for this?" "No," Cynthia admitted. "They think I'm here to find a job as a maid. My father's a pastor, my mother sells peanuts. They wouldn't understand. I told them I'm traveling with a friend to find work to fund my studies. They didn't ask questions." Emma shook his head, his voice heavy with warning. "This city isn't your village. The men here are dangerous." But Cynthia was undeterred. Emma sighed and made her an offer. "Why not work here at the hotel? We pay maids 70,000 naira a month, but for you I'd make it 100,000. You'd get free food, a place to stay, and in 3 months, you could be promoted to secretary. In a year, you'd have enough to go back to school." Cynthia smiled politely but firmly declined. "Thank you, but I didn't come to the city to clean toilets." Emma's shoulders slumped. "Very well. There's a man, Obi, who's been looking for a beautiful virgin. He's rich, very rich. But his money comes too fast, and men like that—" His voice trailed off, heavy with unease. "I'll be careful," Cynthia promised. "Just make the introduction." That evening, Obi arrived at the hotel in a gleaming Rolls-Royce, his gold watch catching the light like a beacon. When he saw Cynthia, his smile was predatory, stretching wide across his face. They sat in the hotel's VIP lounge, sipping expensive wine and laughing like old friends. Emma watched from a distance, his heart heavy with dread. Before they left, Emma pulled Cynthia aside. "Listen to me," he whispered urgently. "You're like a sister to me now. Be careful with this man. His heart is hidden, and money like his can be dangerous. You say you want a serious relationship, not prostitution, but I can't guarantee your safety with Obi. I don't know why he wants a virgin or where his wealth comes from. Study him. If anything feels off, run." Cynthia laughed lightly. "Don't worry, Emma. I know what I'm doing." To protect himself, Emma had them sign an agreement stating he was only making an introduction and bore no responsibility for what followed. Obi signed, promising to protect Cynthia, but Emma refused her offer of 20%. "I don't want your money," he said. "Just stay safe." Cynthia's life with Obi began like a fairy tale. They clicked instantly, their chemistry electric. That first night she followed him to his sprawling mansion, a palace of gold and diamonds that dwarfed anything she'd ever seen. Obi treated her like royalty, calling her his treasure. When he discovered her virginity, his delight was palpable. "I've waited my whole life for you," he said, holding her close. The next morning he bought her a brand new Range Rover. Cynthia's heart soared. This was the life she'd dreamed of. Obi promised to build a house for her parents and send her to a cybersecurity training camp, not a university. In one night, her life had transformed. Her village friends envied her, and she imagined her parents' pride when they saw the mansion he'd built for them. As months passed, Cynthia became the city's darling. Her phone buzzed constantly with offers from other billionaires, cars, jewelry, even mansions, but she remained loyal to Obi. True to his word, he built a grand house for her parents, and the village celebrated her success. Some mothers even scolded their daughters for not following Cynthia's path, unaware of the shadows lurking behind her glittering life. But cracks began to appear. Her best friend, Amara, called one day, her voice laced with concern. "Do you even know what Obi does for a living?" "He's an importer," Cynthia replied casually. "Importer of what?" Amara pressed. "I don't know and I don't care," Cynthia said, brushing her off. Amara sighed. "Be careful. Money that comes too fast can disappear just as quickly, or bring disaster." Cynthia dismissed the warning, blinded by her new life. She didn't care about Obi's business as long as it didn't involve her. She had wealth, beauty, and power. What could go wrong? A year later, Cynthia graduated from the cybersecurity camp, her dreams seemingly fulfilled. One night, as she danced alone in the mansion, sipping fine wine, a strange unease settled over her. In the bathroom, she noticed her used sanitary pad was missing. She brushed it off, thinking she'd misplaced it. But the next month it happened again. The trash bin was empty, pristine, as if someone had meticulously cleaned it. Her heart pounded. Obi was away and the maid was on leave. Who had been in her bathroom? Who had taken her blood? Fear gripped her. She called Obi, her voice trembling but steady. "Did you come home today?" "No, darling, I'm at the office," he said cheerfully. "Why?" "Nothing," she lied. "I thought I heard something." "Relax, our house is secure," he assured her. "No thief can get in." But Cynthia's mind raced. She recalled village tales of ritualists stealing menstrual blood to control a woman's fate. She'd laughed at those stories as a child, but now they felt chillingly real. That night, as she brushed her hair, she glimpsed a shadow in the mirror. She spun around, heart racing, but the room was empty. "I'm imagining things," she whispered, but the fear wouldn't leave. When Obi returned, she clung to him, hiding her panic. He presented her with a diamond necklace, but her mind was elsewhere, fixated on the missing pads. The next day she confronted the maid, who swore she hadn't touched the bathroom. Cynthia's unease grew. If it wasn't the maid or Obi, who was it? Desperate for answers, she visited Emma at the hotel. His face lit up, but her somber expression dimmed his smile. "Emma," she whispered, "does Obi believe in juju?" Emma's smile vanished. "Why do you ask?" "Just tell me," she urged. He rubbed his chin. "Obi's wealth is unnatural. Some say he has spiritual backing." Cynthia's heart sank. "What kind?" Emma leaned closer. "The kind that hides dark secrets. Be careful, Cynthia." She left the hotel, her mind a storm of fear and confusion. On impulse, she stopped by an old woman selling herbs on the roadside, her face oddly familiar. "Your spirit is troubled," the woman said, her eyes piercing. Cynthia's breath caught. "How do you know?" The woman took her hand, closing her eyes. "Someone close has taken your blood. It's in a black pot and they call your name endlessly." Cynthia's tears fell. "What will happen to me? If you don't act fast, they'll bind your fate. You'll become a chained queen." That night, Cynthia couldn't sleep. Obi's snores filled the room, but her mind was on the black pot. Using her cybersecurity skills, she hacked into Obi's transactions, uncovering a chilling truth. He was part of a secret society that preyed on virgins, using their blood and rituals to amplify their wealth. The women were showered with gifts but never married, their lives drained until they withered away. The missing sanitary pads were part of the ritual, renewed monthly to sustain the curse. At 2 a.m., Cynthia crept through the mansion searching for evidence. In a locked basement she found a black clay pot covered with a red cloth. Inside were her used sanitary pads, wrapped in blood-soaked tissue. Her knees buckled, but before she could flee, a hand gripped her shoulder. It was Obi, his eyes cold despite his calm voice. "This house is secure because I control everything." "Why did you take my blood?" she whispered, tears streaming. "I love you," he said, smiling. "I can't lose you." "That's not love," she cried. "It's a prison." Obi led her back to bed, holding her as if nothing had happened. But Cynthia's mind screamed for escape. She considered killing him, but fear and doubt paralyzed her. The next morning he gifted her a diamond ring, but it felt like a shackle. Months later, Cynthia's health deteriorated. She lost weight rapidly, her once vibrant beauty fading. Doctors found nothing wrong, but she knew the truth. Obi's rituals were killing her. She confronted him, but he gaslit her, claiming she was losing her mind. He took her to her village, telling her parents he'd tried everything to cure her strange illness. He left them 10 million naira, a hollow gesture. Cynthia confessed everything to her parents, revealing Obi's dark deeds and Emma's role in their meeting. They wanted to act, but her mother prioritized her treatment. Despite hospital visits and herbal remedies, Cynthia's condition worsened. 5 months later she was a shadow of herself, her beauty gone, her body skeletal. On her deathbed she regretted her choices, wishing she'd taken Emma's job offer and grown slowly. She died, leaving behind the wealth she'd gained and the parents she'd hoped to save. Cynthia's death sent shockwaves through the village. Mothers who'd envied her apologized to their daughters. With the help of community leaders and lawyers, Obi and Emma were arrested. Emma presented the signed agreement, claiming no involvement, and was released. Obi's journal, given to Cynthia's parents, detailed his crimes, leading to his life sentence. But Obi's evil persisted. He bribed a prison guard, escaped through a tunnel, and hunted down Cynthia's parents. One night he shot them both. Neighbors rushed them to a clinic where Cynthia's father, before dying, named Obi as the killer. Obi was recaptured, tried, and executed by firing squad, refusing to name his accomplices. Obi's execution by firing squad was meant to close a dark chapter, but the ripples of his malevolence lingered, casting a long shadow over the village and the city beyond. His refusal to name his accomplices left a chilling void, a silent promise that the sinister network he belonged to would endure. The village, once vibrant with dreams of wealth inspired by Cynthia's fleeting success, now whispered of curses and caution. Mothers who had once urged their daughters to chase riches in the city now held them close, their eyes haunted by the price of ambition. Emma, the hotel manager who had introduced Cynthia to Obi, sat in his dimly lit office, the weight of guilt pressing against his chest. Though cleared of legal blame, the memory of Cynthia's trembling hands and desperate questions gnawed at him. Her story had spread like wildfire, a cautionary tale etched into the collective memory of the community. Emma vowed to protect other young women, but the city was a beast that devoured promises as easily as it did dreams. He knew the truth. Obi's network was vast and his death was merely a pause, not an end. In the village, Cynthia's death and her parents' murder left a wound that refused to heal. The new house Obi had built for them stood empty, its gleaming walls a mocking reminder of promises turned to ash. The community rallied, pooling resources to honor Cynthia's memory with a small memorial, a stone plaque inscribed with her name and a warning: "Seek wealth with wisdom, for beauty alone is a fragile shield." The village chief, a grizzled man named Baba Tund, took it upon himself to ensure no other family suffered as Cynthia's had. He formed a council of elders and young activists, determined to uncover the roots of Obi's dark society. Among the activists was Amara, Cynthia's childhood friend who had once warned her about Obi's mysterious wealth. Amara, now 22, had returned to the village after studying journalism in a neighboring town. Her sharp mind and unyielding spirit made her a natural leader. She refused to let Cynthia's story fade into legend, instead using it as a spark to ignite change. Armed with her notebook and a second-hand laptop, Amara began investigating the secretive network Obi had been part of, determined to expose its members and protect other vulnerable girls. Amara's first step was to revisit Emma. She arrived at his hotel unannounced, her presence a quiet storm. Emma, now wary of strangers, hesitated but recognized the fire in her eyes. It was the same determination he'd seen in Cynthia, but tempered with caution. "I'm not here to blame you," Amara said, her voice steady. "But you know more than you told the court. Help me find the others." Emma sighed, his fingers tracing the edge of his desk. I warned her, Amara. I tried. But this city, it's a maze of secrets. Obi was just one thread in a web. The men he worked with, they're untouchable. Politicians, businessmen, even priests. They hide behind wealth and power. Then give me a name, Amara pressed. One name. Emma hesitated, then whispered, Chief Okoye. He owns half the real estate in the city. Obi mentioned him once, said he was the one who blessed his deals. Amara scribbled the name, her heart pounding. Chief Okoye was a towering figure, his name synonymous with opulence and influence. His charity galas and public donations painted him as a saint, but Amara knew better than to trust appearances. She thanked Emma and left, her mind racing with plans. Back in the village, Amara shared her findings with the council. Baba Tund, though skeptical of confronting such a powerful man, agreed to support her. He connected her with a retired police officer, Inspector Musa, who had once investigated ritual killings but was forced into early retirement after probing too close to the elite. Musa, now graying but sharp, met Amara in a quiet tea shop at the edge of the city. His eyes scanned the room constantly, a habit from years of dodging danger. Chief Okoye is no small fish, Musa warned, sipping his tea. He's protected, by money, by connections, and by things you can't see. If Obi was part of his circle, you're walking into a lion's den. I'm not afraid, Amara said, though her palms were damp. Cynthia was my sister in all but blood. I owe her this. Musa nodded, impressed by her resolve. He handed her a tattered notebook filled with names, dates, and cryptic notes from his old investigations. Start here, he said. But be careful. These people don't just kill, they erase. Amara spent weeks cross-referencing Musa's notes with online records, property deeds, and whispers from city contacts. She discovered a pattern. Young women, often from rural areas, would rise to prominence in the city, showered with wealth, only to vanish or die under mysterious circumstances. Their stories mirrored Cynthia's: lavish gifts, sudden illnesses, and no trace of justice. Amara's research led her to a nightclub, the Golden Orchid, rumored to be a meeting place for Okoye's inner circle. Disguised in a sleek dress and a borrowed wig, Amara infiltrated the Golden Orchid. The club pulsed with music, its air thick with perfume and cigar smoke. She spotted Chief Okoye in a private booth, surrounded by men in tailored suits and women draped in jewelry. His laughter boomed, but his eyes were cold, scanning the room like a predator. Amara's heart raced, but she blended in, posing as a curious newcomer seeking a sponsor. A man named Victor, one of Okoye's associates, approached her. His smile was charming, but his questions were probing. New to the city? He asked, offering her a glass of champagne. Yes, Amara lied, her voice light. Looking for opportunities. Victor's eyes gleamed. You're in the right place. Stick with me and you'll meet the right people. Over the next week, Amara played the part, gaining Victor's trust. He introduced her to a world of lavish parties and whispered deals, but she noticed the same pattern. Young women were brought in, dazzled, and then disappeared. At one party, she overheard a conversation about a ceremony involving a new offering. Her blood ran cold. Were they planning another ritual? Using her cybersecurity skills, Amara hacked into Victor's phone during a moment of distraction. She found encrypted messages referencing a warehouse on the city's outskirts, scheduled for a ritual the following night. She forwarded the evidence to Inspector Musa, who rallied a small team of trusted officers, now working off the books to avoid corruption. The warehouse was a hulking, shadowed structure, its windows boarded up. Amara and Musa's team crept closer, their breaths shallow in the humid night. Inside, they heard chants, low and rhythmic, accompanied by the flicker of candlelight. Amara peeked through a crack in the wall and saw Chief Okoye, draped in a red robe, standing before a black clay pot similar to the one Cynthia had found. A young girl, no older than 16, knelt before him, her eyes glazed with fear. Musa signaled his team and they burst in, guns drawn. Chaos erupted. Okoye's men fought back, but Musa's team was prepared, subduing them quickly. Amara rushed to the girl, pulling her to safety. Okoye, cornered, sneered at Amara. You think you can stop us? We're everywhere. You're done, Amara spat, holding up her phone which had recorded the entire scene. This goes public unless you talk. Okoye's defiance crumbled as Musa's team found a ledger in the warehouse, listing names, dates, and payments tied to the rituals. It was enough to implicate dozens of powerful men across the city. Okoye, realizing his empire was collapsing, began naming accomplices, desperate to save himself. The arrest shook the city. Chief Okoye and his network were exposed, their wealth and influence stripped away. Amara's articles, published in national newspapers, sparked outrage and reform. The government, under pressure, launched a task force to investigate ritual crimes, bringing justice to countless families. Amara's courage turned Cynthia's tragedy into a beacon of hope, ensuring her friend's legacy was one of change, not just sorrow. The village, once scarred by loss, began to heal. Baba Tun's council established a scholarship in Cynthia's name, helping young women pursue education safely. Amara, now a respected journalist, continued her work, her pen a weapon against corruption. The city, though still a maze of secrets, was no longer untouchable. Cynthia's story, carried forward by Amara's resolve, became a warning and a call to action, proving that even in the darkest of tales, light could emerge.